pixel in straight line, or would you expect it to be a little bit sideways, a little bit crooked?
No, there are two elements that are done by hand, even though it's done by an embossing machine for both. We
No,
learned that.
Mr. Bork, you're not listening.
I am.
My question is, if the person is doing it by hand.
It won't be in exactly the same place.
Okay,
Yeah.
and listen, no. Would it be on the line? Would it be just on line, pixel by pixel, or would it be slanted a little bit?
It would be slanted.
Was it slanted here?
No, they're perfectly straight.
So it looks different from what you would expect when something coming from the machine, right? Next, in regards to the stamp, would you expect, if it's something Mr. Obama stated that it was just prepared and sent to him, his attorney brought it right away, so if it's something that came straight from the machine, and they put embossed seal, would you expect to see a very clear embossed seal on that document?
Yes, you would.
Do you see it here?
No, it's a latent image, and you have to highlight over by, I can show you over here.
Okay,
Or about here.
but it's hard to see. Would you, now this is supposed to be a copy of a document created in 1961, which was created on a typewriter. On a typewriter, when you type letter by letter by letter, you don't see letters encroaching on the space of the
Is that the question? Or
the question, which is, I'm just explaining.
What's the aberrations of the typewriter?
The question is, would you expect kerning or encroachment of one letter going to space of the other letter on a typewritten document?
No, typewriters basically are either 12 characters to an inch, and they all fit in a specific box of 6 points wide.
What about this document? Did you see kerning here?
Yes, we did. I have examples of it here,
Okay,
but
okay.
can't show it.
Yeah, so you would not expect kerning.
There was a T and a Y that were recurring, a couple other letters
Okay,
also.
doesn't matter which letters. So you saw kerning here. Next,
The letter spacing was off too, and the line spacing too.
what about, did you check, can you go a little bit higher in terms of their number? The number ends with 641. Did you check the numbers? Was that sequential?
No, it was hard finding the law, but both there was a Model States Vital Statistics Act, and in the U.S. Department of Health and Education, as well as the Social Security system, that both say in the federal regs that all birth certificate numbers have to be sequential, and they start from 0 or 1 at January 1 at 12:01 a.m. And they have to be sequential.
Okay,
And in fact, the Social Security system.
Just wait for the next.
Okay, so I just asked if it was sequential.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be it. Thank you very much, Mr. Bott. And the
Your last witness? Good morning, sir.
Morning, Your Honor. How are you, sir? I do, so help me God.
Okay, Mr. Sampson, can you please state to the court what is your education, or what is your professional experience?
Okay. First, my full name is John, initial and last name is Sampson, S-A-M-P as in Paul, S-O-N. Educationally, I received a Bachelor of Arts cum laude from Long Island University with a master, or with a major in criminal justice and minor in psychology. I attended Thomas M. Cooley Law School in Lansing, Michigan for a period of 2 years. I did not graduate.
And where did you work?
Subsequent to that, I was a police officer in the state of New York for 18 months. Subsequent to that, I was hired by the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service. Began my career at John F. Kennedy Airport in 1981 in June as an immigration inspector. I received on-the-job training and classroom instruction at Kennedy Airport. My instructor was the intelligence officer for the airport, who specialized in fraudulent documents and immigration fraud. I subsequently went into the enforcement branch of immigration 2.5 years later, and ultimately became the senior deportation officer, where I remained in New York, then to New Jersey, back to New York, and then in 1985, I moved to Colorado and I retired for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Department of Homeland Security, which was the successor agency to INS in August of 2008.
Mr. Sampson, did you testify in court as an expert on immigration and deportation?
I testified before federal grand juries and administrative law judges in deportation.
I'm
So,
sorry, thank you, Mr. Sampson. Because we have so little time, I just want to move on. So you have extensive experience as a senior deportation officer. When is the first time we discussed the Mr. Obama's records?
November of 2009, after I retired, I formed my own consulting firm and have been self-employed since January 2009.
Is that the affidavit that you provided me?
Yes, it is.
And is that an affidavit in regards to the social security number of Mr. Obama?
It's an affidavit of the number that he has.
What did you find in your professional experience and knowledge? What did you find in regards to his social security number?
When I ran the social security number through Locate Plus, which is a commercial database that's used by private investigators and law enforcement personnel and attorneys, the only person who was associated and affiliated with 042684425 was Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. It gave me a list of his addresses, driver's license information, other background information, possible relatives, etc. It also indicated that the Social Security number was issued in 1977 to a person residing in the state of Connecticut at the time that number was assigned.
Did Mr. Obama ever reside in the state of Connecticut?
Not to my knowledge, no. All the information and data that I have was specifically in that period of time he was residing with his maternal grandparents, Stanley Armour Dunham and Madeline Payne Dunham, in Hawaii.
Did you also review the birth certificate, the alleged copy of a birth certificate that Mr. Obama posted online?
I've seen it and I have a copy of it, yes.
Was there anything suspicious about this birth certificate?
There are three issues of concern as far as I can tell. Number one, the serial number that's in the upper right-hand corner is out of sequence, and when compared to two other birth certificates issued to two twins that were born the day after Mr. Obama was born, and whose certificates were issued 3 days after his was supposedly issued, their serial numbers are lower, although you would expect them to be higher given the fact that they were subsequent to his. The second thing is that the certification paragraph that's contained in their birth certificates is somewhat different than the certification paragraph that is contained in the Obama birth certificate. And last but not least, the name of the local registrar for the Obama birth certificate is different than the one on the Nordyke twins. And you would think that, given the fact that they were born within 24 hours of each other, the local registrar would have been the same, given the fact that they were born in the same medical facility at the same location.
Mr. Simpson, so what was your suspicion when you studied the social security number and the birth certificate of Mr. Obama, in your professional opinion?
In my opinion, I believe that there's credible evidence to warrant further investigation in the issuance of court orders requesting unsealing of records in Hawaii, as well as the release of records from the Social Security Administration as to who the owner of 042684425 is.
Mr. Sampson, Ken Allen testified to the fact that he received immigration records of Mr. Lolo Soetoro, Mr. Obama's stepfather. Those were made public. Did you study those immigration records?
I have a copy of them and I have looked at them, yes.
Was there any redacting in those records?
My understanding, reading the letter, the transmittal letter that was accompanying the document, the A file, what is called the alien file, or the A file that was sent to Mr. Allen, was that they redacted a portion of some of the documents. I believe 6 of them were redacted, and then there were 7 pages that were withheld in their entirety due to Privacy Act concerns.
Mr. Sampson, are there usually reductions in the records of deceased individuals?
No.
So, let's see. Who could have been on the immigration records of Lola Soetoro, who is not deceased today. Is Mr. Soetoro deceased?
Mr. Soetoro is deceased, Ms. Dunham is deceased, grandparents are deceased, Mr. Barack Obama Sr. is deceased, Maya Soetoro Eng was not born at the time and therefore was not part of this at the time that Stanley Ann Dunham petitioned to have her spouse, Mr. Soetoro, classified as an immediate relative who could receive an immigrant visa.
So what would be your conclusion? Who could have been listed on Mr. Soetoro's immigration records, which was the reason for reduction?
The only person that I can come to mind would be Barack Hussein Obama II, also known as Barry Soetoro.
Now, next question, Mr. Sampson. In your opinion, as a deportation officer, if Mr. Barack Obama was a natural-born U.S. citizenship, he had a valid U.S. citizenship, and he never lost his citizenship while living in Indonesia, would he need immigration records? Would he need to immigrate?
No, there would be no need for him to be issued an immigrant visa. He'd be considered a U.S. citizen to be able to travel to the United States as a citizen.
Knowing all the information that you have in regards to Mr. Obama, what would be your conclusion, and what do you believe that needs to be done, or what would you do in cases similar to this with this kind of records?
It would warrant further investigation. What I would do if I was still working with immigration is I would be getting the originals of the documents I just mentioned. I would go to the Social Security Administration and request a copy of the SS-5, which is the actual handwritten application for a Social Security number. I would also request the state of Hawaii submit a certified copy of any birth records, so this way we could rule in or rule out whether or not he was born in Hawaii.
How about immigration and passport records?
I would be going to the State Department Office of Passport Services to see if there are any U.S. passports issued.
And if those are not provided, or the U.S. Attorney is not willing to proceed with those steps, what would you do?
Well, first, let me clarify. In the event we would be conducting an investigation, it would primarily be a criminal investigation to determine whether any charges should be filed. And the way the procedure works in the federal system is that you would do a report, submit it to the United States Attorney's Criminal Division, so that they could review it and determine whether or not they would accept it for prosecution. Assuming that they declined it, the alternative would be if there was evidence to suggest that the individual in question was not a citizen of the United States and in fact had falsely claimed to be a U.S. citizen, that person could be placed in deportation proceedings because falsely claiming to be a U.S. citizen is a separate and entirely standalone charge for deportation purposes.
Would it be sufficient for warrant for this person's arrest?
So that would be how you would commence a removal proceeding. You would request an administrative arrest warrant signed by the field office director, notice to appear in removal proceedings, and in the custody determination to determine whether or not the individual would be held in custody, released under recognizance of some other alternative to detention, such as electronic ankle monitor or something like that.
So just to clarify, for the court, if the U.S. Attorney refuses to proceed to act as a deportation officer, you would have been seeking a warrant for arrest of this individual and deportation.
I would be seeking a warrant of arrest and an issuance of a notice to appear on any individual who made a false claim to United States citizenship and who was not clearly a citizen or was clearly admitted for permanent residence.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson. At this point, I would like to admit into evidence the affidavit of Mr. Sampson and the attached documents.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Counsel, I'm ready to hear your closing argument.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just getting that.
Yes, I do. I think I'm on some 3 years. Something.